or morning or afternoon, whenever you are listening to this. And welcome to One Cardinal, One Cub, and One Beer, the Hopper Jackson podcast. And before we go any further, I do want to implore you to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, or is it called X or something? I don't know. I don't use it that often. So anyway, you can contact us through one card, one cup, one beer at gmail.com. Please subscribe to our page by clicking on the icon at the bottom right or at the end of this podcast, telecast, channel cast, whatever you call it. If you're watching on your TV or your computer, if you just click on the little round circle, you will subscribe. It has been a wonderful week for me. JJ, what kind of a week has it been for you?
For me personally, great week. And it's topped off by getting to talk baseball. There's nothing better than sitting here with Vince Opper, the man himself, talking baseball. The Cubs, I can't wait to hear about your Cubbies.
Oh, I'll get there, but I'm not the collector that you are. Something really has to catch my eye, and usually it's an old baseball book. So Kathy and I, we stopped at a thrift shop yesterday, and I found this Major League Baseball 1949 season.
Is it Lou Boudreau on the front?
Lou Boudreau, yes. After his MVP season of 48, and Lou Boudreau also was the color commentator on WGN Baseball for the Cubs whenever I was growing up, and he was so knowledgeable. But this is like looking at one of those Baseball Digest books that they would sell at the end of the year, of the recap of the year. It's got some pictures, like there's Harry Beecham in there, Jack Kramer, in that famous movie Kramer versus Kramer, Johnny Sane, from Span and Sane and Pray for Rain from the Red Sox back in the 40s. Pretty cool book. Yeah, I haven't had time to thumb through it, but I got this for $4. And I have quite a few of the old baseball books because when I see them, I pick them up. I got this one in Festus, and it's a secondhand store we go through 2-3 times a year. And they do have a lot of baseball stuff in it, but I've not seen anything as cool as this old baseball book. So I got it. So
I love it. I love the old how they photograph baseball with the pitcher with the follow through, or maybe them with the bat loosening up. There's just some real classic photos there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So anyway, proceed. I just wanted to get that out of the way before I forgot about it.
Well, I don't know when you wanted me to mention this, but I made a trip Saturday down to Springfield. The Cardinals were in town, Memphis was in town, and Springfield was in town. And my wife went to college in Springfield. You have family that have went to college in Springfield too.
My wife's a graduate from there. My brother-in-law's a graduate from there. And my daughter, Rebecca, is working on her graduate degree there right now. So,
well, if I'd known that, they could have come out to the ball game with us. We had a blast. Hammond's Field. I was standing in line, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But I'm standing in line, and I'm, me, I can't stay quiet. I'm just talking baseball with everybody in line. And his kid goes, your voice sounds familiar. And I said, well, I don't know. You ever listen to baseball podcasts? And they go, yeah. And I said, one Cardinal, one Cub, one beer. And they said this, and the guy got his phone out and said, yeah, right here. And I said, well, that's me. I'm the Cardinal guy. And the kid said, I recognized your voice. I know I have that Arkansas voice, but met some great people. It's a great time. This family, their last name was Means. They're watching it tonight. There'll be a little video later, and they were on there, and they love the show, and they wanted to be on, but they were nervous. So I said, well, I'll just ask you a couple of quick questions. They said, yeah. They had a cousin that played for the Kansas City team, the Northeast Arkansas Naturals, and they were there to watch him. He's an infielder, Jacob Means. It's a great time. 8,000 people. If you want to get the seats where they feed you all you can eat. You got to get them early because those go pretty quick. But I saw what I believe was Teen Hentz's family. There was a whole family with Hintz jerseys and hats with Hintz on the side. So my wife goes, "Don't go talk to them. Don't talk to them." And I went down and I talked to them. I said, "Hey, Teen Hintz, we're excited in St. Louis." And they were like, they were all high-fiving me and everything. Just a good time. Now, our team is 17-6 down there. We're in second place. We lost 5-0, but I got to see some of the prospects down there. Like I said, Jake Means over for Kansas City. I didn't know a lot of theirs, but Teen Kent's did not pitch the day I went. And I was there Saturday. Sunday, Helsley was down there doing a rehab assignment, so I missed him. But I got to see Mac Svanson. I saw him warming up. I didn't see him pitch. We had a kid named Alex Cromwell pitch, went about 6 innings and gave up 2 runs, did a nice job. Hit the contacts, Cardinal pit type pitcher as usual.
Yeah.
But Chandler Redmond's down there, and he's a kid that's a lot of promise. And we got the kid from Toronto, Thomas Sagis. Now, he's hitting about 310. He went over 4 that day, but he got 3 hits the next day. Looks good. Looks good. A nice fielder. And Victor Scott II is also down there. So there's a lot of good prospects. I just try to get out and get to some minor league games. You won't be disappointed. And you know me, Vince, I don't pass up the opportunity to add to the collection. I got a little pocket schedule, the 2023 Springfield Cardinals. It's got everything you need to know, all the promotions. And one good thing about going to Springfield is if St. Louis has a promotion, they'll probably have like 25,000 of that item or maybe 10,000. Down there, they'll have 2,000. So get in line, maybe an hour early. Parking is right next to it. Everything's much cheaper, and you can get some of the same items. But they have things down there that we don't have in St. Louis. And I got the Lars Newbar pepper shaker, paper grinder bobblehead right there. Yeah, he's doing the pepper grinder, Vince. It's all the rage right there. And this thing, it's pretty darn cool. It's got the little pepper grinder, Lars Newbar, and on the back, it's grind the pepper. So how about that? I'm a nerd for this kind of stuff. So anyway, but the Means kids wanted to say hi to you, that they watch, and I was blown away. Here I am in Springfield, Missouri, and there's somebody who's watched the podcast. That freaked me out. So it's nice to meet y'all folks, and I'm glad you're aboard, and I hope we don't disappoint you. So we got little leaguers, we got older people watching. I mean, that's fantastic. But I had a great time down there.
We're gonna have to make it 1 Cardinal, 1 Cup, 1 Royal, and 1 beer. That's
yes. Yeah, they're Royal fans, and we were talking about Kauffman Stadium, and the dad said, "I hate to see the K go," but they say this one's gonna be really nice. So I'm gonna try to get out there a couple times before
the renderings I've seen. They've had a few different renderings. They look fantabulous, and it makes me wonder, how are they going to pay for that? Because like they're talking about a stadium that you would expect like New York or Los Angeles to build. I'm like, wow, that's much nicer than the stuff I've seen Vegas put out that they might build. So yeah, it's a pretty cool looking thing.
It'll be a nice trip out there and see some good baseball. They don't have scorecards. They just have printouts with, and I kind of like it because they keep you up to date on the latest news for the team and just all kinds of neat things. And then you can keep the scores on the back. So they just hand those out to you, which was pretty nice. And I had to get the Springfield Cardinal glass right there. So to carry our 1 beer or 1 root beer or Mountain Dew or whatever. So anyway, Vince, great time, and we got to go out there sometime. I'm glad I made the right choice. I didn't go to Memphis. I didn't go to St. Louis. I went down to Springfield. And
you know what we really have to do?
What's that?
Roll the film.
Roll that film. Well, Vince, look where I'm at. It's Hammond Field, Springfield, Missouri. We're going to check out the Springfield Cardinals here today. Very nice. The people are starting to come in. I like this place. All right, Vince. There we are, Hammond Field. They have a mural over here. 14 miles to St. Louis. Very nice.
So we started using Apple. And started learning Spanish fast.
You know what, Dad? I might be in a shade. That's is that one.
Oh yeah, he's a good one.
Vince, I got the Lars Newbar Peppered Grinder bobblehead. 2 of them, baby. Hey, Vince, I got a Royals fan here. What's your name?
I'm Carson Means.
And who's your favorite team?
The Royals.
And who's your favorite player on the Kansas City Royals?
Michael Mason.
Michael Macy. All right. Well, hey, guys, have a good day. Nice meeting you. What's your name? Who's your favorite player?
Bobby Witt Jr.
Bobby Witt Jr. That's a good one. You guys take care.
All right, I'm in the stadium, Vince. Look at that. Oh, very cool. Saturday in the park, baby. I thought it was a 4th of July. Vince, look at that. Tin cans. Look at even on the side of the hat, tin cans. Tell you what, it's gonna be a big timer. Even the fans are starting to wear his jersey.
All right, Vince. Right now it's the bottom of the 4th, and just like the big Cardinals, the little Cardinals are losing right now, 1-0 in the bottom of the 4th. But I've got to see Scott, Sagest, and Redmond all play today, so that's pretty cool. All right.
Man, that looked like fun. Those kids were cute.
Oh, they were great. They were great. Man, yeah. They had some neat items. One had a batting helmet that Xavier Scruggs had signed. And that's another thing. If you're an autograph fan, you're right there on them. And these guys are just excited to be up there. They're trying to make it up to the majors. And they'll take pictures. They'll throw a lot of baseballs in the stands. It's a good time.
Those 2 little kids, the second little kid was so cute. It's so serious. Who's your favorite player? With Junior.
He had a Salvador Perez jersey on too. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, in Cardinal land, it's after the post trade deadline, and we're really just looking at a lot of the talent we got for next year. What are we going to do? The Cardinals played the Twins and the Rockies, and we went 2-4. So the record was not good. Just inconsistent. That's what it is. There's times we look great, and there's times we're inconsistent. But some of the good things, Libator, I tell you what, he's doing fine. Yeah, 5.2 innings. He took the loss, but he's doing good. Alec Burleson this week hit 500, which is a good week for most. I'll take it. He's been hitting some home runs. Wayno, well, I'll get back to Wayno later. Steven Matz, 3 games now.
Finally beat someone other than the Cubs.
Yes, he took out Colorado 6-2, and he went 6 innings and only gave up 1 earned run.
Has he said anything about what his turnaround has been? Has he ironed something out, or?
No, the only thing I noticed is he's going inside a little more, and he's changing speed so good and going high and going low and snapping that ball off on the inside. I mean, even when he misses, he's just barely missing. And I think some more calculated misses too, because he's getting those guys to chase. This is the guy we was hoping he would be, but you know how it is, Vince. Sometimes things just don't click for you. With our defense, which I think will be good again next year, maybe big things ahead for him. I'm not sure what was going on with him, but man, glad to have him. He's 3-7 now, and his ERA is below 4. 3.91. Now, I know people say, well, 3.91, but he's come from a long way to get it down to 3.91. So we'll take that. Also, there was a, I got it written down here. Zach Thompson. He came in, he hasn't pitched much this year. He came in and pitched 4 innings and struck out 8, and he looked dynamite. He was sent down to get stretched out to be a starter. He only went 4 innings, but I'm telling you what, he looked really good. 4 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 8 Ks, and 1 walk. We lost the game 1-0. We had every opportunity to win that game. We just couldn't get that 2-out hit. And Austin Gombers, the guy we traded to get Arenado, he owned us that day. And that happened. Sometimes you play great, but the other team's just a little bit better, and they were better that day. So 2-4. Also, I've seen a statistic that's kind of cool. Since 1900, the Cardinals won their 10,000th game. And I think there's like 4 teams maybe up there. Of course, a lot of these teams like the Astros and the Brewers haven't ever. It's only like the Reds and the Pirates and the Cubs and the Cardinals and teams like that. But 10,000th win since 1900. And that's an odd stat because we've been the Cardinals, or we've been in MLB since 1892. So, but anyway, we'll take that. Good attendance too. Even though the Cardinals are out of it, we were averaging about 40,000 to 38,000 over those 6 games. Luka Baker, I want to kind of say something about him. He's down in Memphis. He's had come up for a little bit of cup of coffee, but he doesn't get to play much. But he hit his 31st home run, and the Cardinal record in the minors for a season is 37, which was set last year by Moises Gomez. But he's hitting 337 with 52 extra base hits, 31 home runs, and 89 RBIs. And it's a shame. I wish we had a place for him to play, but we have so many DHs. We have a ton of guys that can play first base. Maybe he'll be in a trade this winter for some pitching. I'd like to see this kid get a chance. We've had but I don't know if it's going to be with us unless he can play the outfield, and I don't think he is an outfielder. So we'll probably see him traded. Let's see. Cardinals have been here's a sad stat. First of all, Waino just did not have it at his start, and it's for the young Waino that we had, it's just kind of sad that this is kind of his last hurrah. I'd love to. They're sending him back out there. He still gets a lot of strikeouts, but they're just hitting them and scoring a lot of runs. And these are like dead quails that just kind of go out over the infield. And it's just so sad. But he's now 3-6. He went 3 innings with 7 earned runs and 5 Ks. And he just put us in a hole. Now that we're this far along, we might as well go the rest of the way with him. But if we were any kind of race, he would not be in the. He wouldn't be pitching. So I love Waino, and he's been a great Cardinal, and that's kind of been the whole season for the Cardinals. A stat I saw, Vince, and I'm gonna I say the good and the bad. The bad, with the Cardinals have been in last place out of the 127 days. We've been in last place 94 out of 127 days. We're the last place team. But with every bad, there's a good. We could be about the 4th or 5th team to draft in the draft next year. So, we'll take that. With everything. Like I said, Helsley's in the rehab. He's going to come back. He's in AA. I don't know how long it's going to be, but he'll be up soon. And the Cardinals, 49-64. Ouch. I'd love to see him get to 70 wins, but I don't know. They're going to have to get hot just to win 70 games. Mason Wynn, we thought it's going to be time for him to come up, but he actually got hurt over the weekend, and he has a mild glute strain. And man, I can't wait for this kid to come up. He's 21 years old. He's from Katy, Texas, but the Cardinals aren't going to take any chances with him this year. If he's able to, he ought to be up in September and playing. And that's really it, Vince. There really is no sunshine in St. Louis here for the Cardinals, but I'm optimistic about next year. I'm liking to see all these players because we're out of it, and there's no pressure on us. But the Cubs, I can't wait to see how you feel about it. Look at that smile on his face. Look at that smile. It's getting good. This is going to be fun the next 2 months.
Before we get there, let me ask you about this, because living in St. Louis, I hear a lot of St. Louis talk radio.
Oh, yeah.
And 2015 through 2020, I heard this a lot from Bernie Mikla's, Randy
Maybe-
Carricker,
Right.
Brad Thompson. I heard this from everybody. The Cardinals would be, at that time, they weren't making the playoffs and the Cubs were. And I would hear fans call in or do the voicemail or whatever they're doing on someone's particular show. And they would always say, well, would you rather us be like the Cubs and tank for a few years and get all these high draft picks? Is that how you want us to rebuild? And I did not, I didn't like that. And I'll tell you why. First of all, many teams have tanked, like the Pirates tanked for like 20 years and got high draft picks and didn't. You have to have a plan on what you are looking for in the draft. Make sure you get the best players that fit your organization in order to build from there. And the argument was, what teams should do is try to compete every year. So what you're telling me is that my team, instead of having a few down years to reload, you would rather us take mid-tier free agents and throw money at them so we can be competitive when we don't have a team that can win the division. Saying all that to say this, the Cardinals right now it's kind of the shoes on the other foot. They're not tanking on purpose, but they did do a sell-off. They did do a sell-off. I just want to know, what are your feelings on it? Do you feel like tanking is something that is frowned upon, should be against the rules, that even if you don't have a shot, you need to go out and spend money on free agents so you will at least make mediocrity? Or do you believe it is a viable strategy to take a few years to rebuild, get those high draft picks so you can possibly win a World Series? Because if the Cubs don't tank, they don't win the World Series. They're not a playoff contender. If the Astros don't tank, they're not the Astros of today. But then again, you have other teams who have tried that strategy and it hasn't worked. What do you feel about it?
Well, when I hear the word tank, I think of a team that is just throwing the games. They really don't care. I think even when you put the young guys out there, they're giving their best. They're working it off. You're basically just getting rid of your superstars or the players that can bring you back any kind of value, and you're going for it. And I'm okay with that. Like you said, the Pirates were bad forever. I don't know if they've been tanking, but it's almost like we're not good enough to really make a run. So we're going to get rid of these guys and we'll make another run at it. The Cardinals, I think everybody we got rid of wasn't coming back. There was a good chance most of them weren't coming back. And if we really want them, we could go out and sign them as free agents. I don't think Flaherty was, and Montgomery definitely wasn't. Stratton was a free agent. He might have came back. I don't know. DeYoung, that was one of those things, and this happens in baseball all the time. I remember when the Red Sox got rid of Carney Lansford, and I was like, are they crazy? But they had a kid coming up in the minors, Wade Boggs, who I didn't know anything about. And then DeYoung, we believe that Wynn could be even better, even more athletic, steal some bases, maybe hit less home runs, but have a better batting average. So to tank it, to lose on purpose, no. But I don't think anybody really does that. But I think as we look at our team, we just didn't develop enough pitching, and we had to go out and stock our pitching. We draft a lot of pitchers, but that's the same for most teams. There's only a few that have really developed their pitching staff and hadn't had to go outside. The Braves, that I don't know what they're doing, but they're doing something right. The Dodgers, they always are in the top. They draft at the bottom, and they're always good. There's something going on in Dodger Town. And the Astros, a lot of those now they went out and got their big pitcher back, the Cy Young Award winner Verlander, but they have developed a lot of that pitching. The Cardinals, we have a few guys, but we got Tinkins hopefully coming, but we failed a lot too. I read an article where we had 7 pitchers that we thought were going to be number ones, and all of them fell. Flaherty was one of them. Carlos Martinez, although I think we give him every opportunity, he just I don't know if it was upstairs or what, but he didn't have it. Reyes got hurt, but he had electric stuff. So if that's your you know what, but the thing on that too is sometimes the fans don't show up. If you're bad for 2 or 3 years in a row, sometimes the fans, but I tell you what, I give the Cubs can get away with that because their fans are loyal and they see what you're doing and they still show up. I think the Cardinal fans will. Now you'll have those 20% that just talk smack and they may not come to the ballpark, but that's more for me. I'll be there and I'll be rooting them on. So to answer your question, Vincent, you know, I'm a windy person. I'll get talking a mile a minute, but if that's a strategy and you see some light at the end of the tunnel and every year you see a little progress, I'm not against that at all. No.
Yeah, I like the previous regime, previous ownership. Jim Hendry was the general manager, did a fine job, took the team to 2 playoffs. He had some missteps like Milton Bradley, but he drafted Javi Baez, and he drafted Wilson Contreras. He did pretty good. He wasn't the personality of Theo Epstein, who, even though he was the vice president, you know, and Jed was the GM, Theo was making the calls. One thing I did appreciate, as Theo said, it was a bad culture there. It had devolved into a bad losing culture. It had devolved to a place where free agents didn't want to go to. And so basically he said, we need to clean out the cupboard, take out all the old expired cans and throw them away in case they're infested with worms, and just restock this. His first big free agent signing, Edwin Jackson. Big mistake. But he didn't sign Edwin Jackson thinking he's going to win 20 games. He signed a veteran who could eat innings because he knew there was going to be a lot of young pitching we had to look at. We found out really sucked. But with the change of culture, that's how we got John Lester, who just changed the trajectory of our organization. Because the year before John Lester came, there was no reason in the world he would consider coming to the Chicago Cubs after their 2014 season. And they convinced him, if you come here, we're building something. It's going to be a couple of years, but man, you're going to be part of something special. And he bought into it, and it completely changed our franchise. Houston had the same thing, although cheating a little bit helped, but
Yeah.
It changed the trajectory of the franchise. And then there's been teams like Pittsburgh who just, every time they get a star that's approaching free agency, well, we can't afford them, let them go. I'm saying you can't afford to let them all go. You got to keep some of them because fans need something to come see and need a reason to come. Pittsburgh had a pretty good run in the mid-teens, making the playoffs, 3 or 4 years in a row, or 3 out of 5. They had a pretty good run, but as those players approach free agency, they got rid of them, and they just have been the Pirates ever since. So I don't know. When you said, you know, the thing about, you know, the Cardinals selling and stuff, I just kind of struck something. Maybe that's a question for our next panel. We have a panel, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Cub news, okay. Starting off, it has been announced that in the Cubs Hall of Fame, Mark Grace and Sean Dunston are in the Cubs Hall of Fame. So congratulations to them.
Love both those guys.
This week we did go 5-2, and the Tuesday and Wednesday game against Cincinnati, those were epic. We won by a score of 20-9 and 16-6. We scored 36 runs in 2 games. And I said last week on this, I don't see Cincinnati staying in it because they have no pitching. And I saw up close, no pitching. We played them in a 4-game series. The only pitcher that beat us was the Monday pitcher, Abbott, who looks pretty good. The only other pitcher that can beat us is on the disabled list, Hunter Green. Other than that, they just don't have pitching. But Tuesday, when we won 20-9, Swanson hits a couple of home runs. Bellinger stays hot. He hits a home run. Talkman, who's been the surprise of this team, hits a home run. Horner hits a home run. Wisdom even hits a home run off the catcher, but he hits a home run. And then Amaya comes in and hits a home run off the catcher, but he hits a home run, and we win 20-9. So Wednesday, I'm thinking, gosh, I hope we haven't completely exhausted ourselves of scoring. No, we win 16-6 with Hap going deep twice, Burrell hitting a home run, Swanson hitting a home run, and even Suzuki hitting a home run off the catcher. I have never seen a position player pitch 2 games in a row, but the catcher, I can't remember his name for the Reds, pitched mop-up duty in both of those games. He actually had a knuckleball that would dance a little bit, but we hit him. So Thursday we win 5-3 against the Reds. We take 3 or 4 from the Reds. We catch them in the in second place. We catch them in the wild card race. We've caught them by the end of the week. What I was really encouraged about on Thursday is Tyon had another really good outing, and we need him. And I'll let you know that why I think we need him. Alzolay has a save. He is now officially our closer, doing a bang-up job. So Friday we have the Atlanta Braves come down, the big bad Braves. I'm nervous. Max Fried comes off the disabled list. Oh gosh, I hope he can't find the plate because he's rusty. No, they shut us out 8-0 after scoring 36 runs in 2 games in a series where we scored 46 runs total. We get shut out by Max Fried for 6 innings, and the bullpen comes and finishes off the shutout.
That's baseball for you.
That's baseball. Saturday, we bounce back. We beat the Braves 8-6, and then Sunday we beat them again 6-4. Steele gets his 13th win to lead the major leagues. Alzolay gets another save, his 14th save. So we've taken 2 or 3 from the Braves, and we're feeling really good about ourselves. Then last night we go to Shea Stadium. We lost 10-2. John Smiley starts, and John Smiley, since start number 10, and we're in August now, has had 1 good outing, and that good outing was when we used an opener, Wisniewski, for 2 innings, then brought him in. He pitched 4 1/3 innings, gave up 1 run. That's the only good outing he's had. He should not be starting anymore. I would rather see Wisniewski start, Assad start, anybody else with Smiley. The Mets lineup is not that good. You have Lindor having a bad year for Lindor. He's still got some power. But the only person you can't let in this lineup beat you is Pete Alonso.
Right.
What does Smiley do? He gives up 2 home runs to Alonso and 5 RBIs. Thinking, this is the only guy.
Walk him.
Walk him, do anything.
Frustrating.
So, anyway, but I do want to say this, that since we got Jamer Candelario, he's had 25 at-bats going into tonight's game. He's got 12 hits.
You called it.
500, 4 doubles, a home run, 4 walks. He has an on-base percentage of .552. He has a slugging percentage of .760 for an OPS of 1.312. So thank you, Washington, for letting us trade for Candelario. He's been a big help. Been playing mostly first base. We've kept Madrigal at third, which has been something I've wanted, and I'm pretty happy about that. I do want to say Marcus Stroman, who has not pitched well since London. He's on the IL. He has inflammation in his hip. They did give him an injection, and hopefully he won't be out too long. And hopefully when he comes back, he's not as bad as he's been since facing the Cardinals in London, because he's been pretty bad. His ERA is almost up to 4. And
sometimes a break is good. Sometimes just a little mental break, let your body heal a little bit is a good thing, and he'll be good for the stretch.
So we are now 58-55, 3 games over 500, which doesn't sound great, but considering that we were 10 games below 500 when Max and I watched San Francisco beat the Cubs on June 9th while we were in Cooperstown, and it was like, geez, we're already 10 below 500. Season's still got a month from being halfway over. So we have played excellent since then, and hopefully we can keep it up. I do see the Reds fading, and I think the Brewers are going to stay in it because they have the pitching. And it's like this for me. Our offense can keep up with anybody, but between Stroman and Smiley, one of them has to pitch like they don't have to pitch like they did at the beginning of the season, because they were both pitching a little over their heads. But they have to pitch like their baseball back of their baseball card. They have to pitch at least that good. So we're not having to tax the bullpen. The bullpen has looked great, but if we can only get 4 innings out of a starter, we do have viable people who can start. We have, like I said, Assad. We have Wisniewski. We've called up Caleb Killian. We could call up Ben Brown for a game. We don't have to completely rely on these people. We're obviously having a down time right now. So that's squeaking out land. So
I want to say something about the Cubs. My take on them is they were finding themselves. Nobody ran away with the division. I think you guys made some great moves with the veteran presence you have on your team. Bellinger, Swanson, Trey Mancini, who you got rid of, but he is a quality guy, a good guy who to sit and talk with the young guys and help them. Bellinger and Swanson has been through a lot of the playoffs, and it's good to have that veteran presence. And I think Cincinnati only has Votto, and they haven't really done much in a long time. But the Cubs and the Brewers, now that's going to be a good show down the stretch. That's 7 weeks between you two guys, and if you hang close, anything's possible. I really thought through the tough times, Ross and the coaching staff kept them moving forward, and they didn't give up. Some teams, like the White Sox, just sort of flamed out, and they're so talented of a team. I don't know what happened to them, but the Cubs stayed the course, and there they are, right in it. And good for you guys.
There's a couple things I want to say that I should have said this a long time ago, but I guess I haven't because I don't think about it. I think about it when I'm watching the game. There were 3 quality shortstops on the market: Trey Turner, Carlos Correa, Dansby Swanson. I wanted Turner or Correa. I really wanted Correa, and Swanson would have been my third choice. And when Correa finally did sign with the Twins after the Giants and the Mets fiasco, he was gone. Trey Turner signed early with the Phillies. He was gone. We got Swanson for a lot less AAV. Now that the season has gone and I've watched this guy play every day, we got the best shortstop in baseball. Nobody feels like this guy. He is he's not athletic like an Ozzie Smith, but he gets to everything he can. He has perfect, and I mean perfect form and mechanics to make any throw for the shortstop position. And he's hitting with power, and he's taking more walks this year than he's ever taken in his life. And Correa is batting, I think, in the 220s, having a terrible year. And then there's the issue with that metal plate in his ankle. They're not sure how long that's going to hold out. Trey Turner is now down to the 8th hitter in that Philadelphia lineup. He's hitting 250 and doing nothing. So I am just completely thrilled as I've seen this play out that we did get the best shortstop, maybe not from their past, but from here going forward, I cannot see a better shortstop for the next 6-7 years than Dansby Swanson. I just marvel at how fundamentally sound he is when he's playing shortstop. And
he wanted to come to Chicago. He wanted to be a part of that team, which I think makes it even better for the team and everything.
Yeah.
You know? And Bellinger, I didn't know Bellinger was going to come back like he did either. That guy, I thought him and Yelich's best years were behind him, and they both had
Yelich having a good year too.
So. Yeah, he's having a great year too. Yeah. So that's going to be fun down the stretch, man.
The second thing I want to bring up, being you brought up the White Sox, my favorite thing that happened this week, we both love Jose Ramirez. Jose Ramirez hit me 3 home runs in Cleveland to give me a memory I'll still be remembering when I've got 2 marbles rolling around upstairs. That was a cool thing to share with Max. He hit his 3rd home run. You've always liked him. Your pick for MVP.
I love him.
Great guy. Everybody loves him. So they're playing the White Sox, and he slides into second base, and Tim Anderson straddles him and tags him hard on the back when he was safe and just kept the glove on him and said something to him. And so Ramirez got up and said something back and pointed to him. And so Anderson decides, he drops the glove and he says, you want to fight. And so what's Ramirez going to do? Anderson takes 2 punches, misses. Ramirez 1 punch and knocks him on his butt. I thought, yes. I don't like bullies. I don't like bully culture, and I don't like bullies. Tim Anderson, for all the good he does, he can be a real jerk. And apparently he had been calling one of the younger players for the Guardians, been calling him not in a good way, just mean-spirited names and stuff like that. And the day before, someone else slid into second and he did a hard tag. And so he'd kind of been antagonizing the team. But, you know, when you ask someone you want to fight, at least me, I want to make sure I could whip this person. You want to fight? I'm not asking someone who could whip me. Do you want to fight? Well, so I did today. Jose Ramirez put out a statement telling the fans he was sorry, saying, I've tried to reach out to Tim Anderson to say I'm sorry, but Anderson will not respond to me, but I'm trying. So Jose's wanting to put this behind him. He's taking actual responsibility, which shows the difference in the 2 players. Jose realizes we're in a pennant race. I'm suspended. I'm hurting the team. I should have just turned around, backed off, whatever. And I should reach out to Tim Anderson and say, hey, let's put this behind us, okay? The White Sox were a disaster. Just read the articles of what's been going on with the White Sox this week. Stories coming out. It's just been horrible. The White Sox are a disaster. One of the reasons maybe they're a disaster and why they have this poison clubhouse, which was named by a former pitcher, one of the people named was Tim Anderson. Maybe Anderson needs an attitude adjustment. Maybe this little embarrassing knocked on your fanny to Jose Ramirez will be that to them. So.
And when they got him up, he was still wobbly, you know. And I know to the Cleveland fans, and of course, in a perfect world, you do not want to fight. But in the heat and the pennant race and things on the line, and who knows, things have been who knows, this might have been going on for a little while, like you said, and things build up and things happen. I mean, as a kid, I remember, well, not a kid, as a younger man, I remember Ventura, another White Sox, running out to the mound against Nolan Ryan, and we all know what happened. And that is one of the moments we'll never forget. And Batista and Odor getting into it at second base. I mean, there's some classics. So anyway, I'm sorry it happened, but Ramirez is like even more of a legend around MLB and in Cleveland, and Tim Anderson's probably not going to be picking any fights anytime soon.
You really get your comeuppance when you ask them if you want to fight. 10 seconds later, you're on your butt trying to figure out where you're at.
Well, the umpire got between them. The umpire was like this, and they both just pushed him out of the way, and there they went, you know. Oh, man.
Comes a time in every man's life when he needs some advice on relationships. You need to listen to the podcast DMDR, which stands for Dating, Marriage, Divorce, Remarriage, from my good friend Jeremy Connor, the Dr. Phil of the Boot Hill. You can find DMDR on Spotify or whatever platform you choose to listen to your podcast. We haven't done this for a while. We're going to spotlight a few players. JJ, I'll go first, okay?
Sure, please. Yes.
I'm going to spotlight John Summers. Do you know who John Summers is?
John Summers. Probably had a nickname I would know him by. No, I don't. Yeah, Summers. No, I do not know who.
Maybe the kind of nickname that would make you special, like maybe a champ. Champ Summers.
You remember Champ Summers? I do, and he has a direct correlation with my guy, but I'll let you go first. But yeah.
Oh, I did not know that. Champ Summers. Sometimes when I do these spotlights, like the one time I did BB Richards, just because I mentioned, He had a couple years with the Cubs, but he was just a pinch hitting bench player, so he didn't have like an impact on the Cubs. And I want to tell you why I decided to do Champ Summers. It was 1979. Me and my friend Scott, we were at the East Dalton Dairy, and there was a sporting news on the rack, and it was about September, and there's a picture of this Detroit Tiger with this tattoo on his arm. And I wasn't paying attention, and Scott said, "Oh, my baseball coach knows him." And I looked and said, "Champ Summers?" He said, "Yeah, he went to high school with him." I said, "Your baseball coach went to high school with him?" He said, "Yeah." He said he's from the area. And oh, well, that's kind of cool. So I've always had an interest in him since then. Champ Summers got his nickname from his father. There was a rumor that he got the nickname because he won batting championships in the minor league. That's not the truth.
Oh.
The truth is when he was born, he was so ugly. His dad said, "It looks like he went 10 rounds with Joe Louis." And that's why he named him Champ.
That is classic.
Now, Champ, that's what he went by. All of his life was Champ. You know, John's first name, but Champ is what he went by. He graduated from Madison Senior High School in 1965. Madison is a very small high school. It's still there. It's between Granite City and Venice, Illinois. And 20 years ago, I actually spent a day at Madison High School observing a class, which was really cool. Madison's a small school. It's not been absorbed by the big Granite City school, and the other schools in the area would be Venice, East St. Louis. They've kind of hung on to their own little thing, even though it's an economically depressed. The industry there, what was it, the steel mill that was there? One of the industries that was in Madison, they shut their doors, and so it's kind of an economically depressed town. But at that time, it was kind of like a suburb of Granite City. The economy was good in Granite City. The economy was still pretty good in East St. Louis at that time. So it was a pretty decent place to grow up. He lettered in basketball, football, tennis, track, and cross country. And he was also a swimmer and a diver.
Wow.
Did I leave something out?
Baseball.
Yes. He had not yet played baseball seriously when he graduated from high school. He said that the opportunities were there to play baseball. He just had no interest in the game. So when he graduated from high school, he went to Nicholls State to play basketball. And he was pretty good, but he dropped out after a misunderstanding with the coach. In other words, after a year and a half there, he punched a teammate, knocked him silly, got kicked out of school. And you know what happened in the late 60s when you went in school and college?
Oh, Vietnam.
Yeah. He went to Vietnam. So went to Vietnam, he saw a lot of combat. He saw a lot of hand-to-hand personal bad stuff. So that kind of helped him grow up a little bit. So when he got out of the Army, he went to SIU Edwardsville, and he played for the basketball team for 2 seasons under legendary coach Harry Gallatin. And during those 2 seasons at SIUE, he averaged 18.8 points a game. And in one game, he had a 53-point game. So he was an excellent basketball player. He was talented enough that he earned a tryout from the Memphis Tams, which were an ABA team. He also was invited to try out for the Dallas Cowboys, even though he had not played football since high school. He was just that good of an athlete. So during his senior year at SIUE, he decided he was going to play baseball. He was playing slow pitch softball, and he figured, well, it's not much different. The ball's bigger. You know, I'm an outfielder. You still run and catch the ball. I think I'll go try out for the baseball team. So that was kind of his mindset. So one of the baseball coaches, Roy Lee, expressed a lot of skepticism and told him, when's the last time you played baseball? He said, well, I was like 13. He was like, okay. So why don't you come into the cage and we'll see what you got. So Champ got into the batting cage and swung the bat, and Coach Lee said, "Where the hell have you been?" That was his words. So his greatest thrill was his senior season. Remember, he played just his junior and senior season. His senior season, after just pinch hitting his junior season, he led the NCAA in home runs and RBIs in 1971. He was voted SIUE's Athlete of the Year in 1971, hitting 340. One of the other baseball coaches, Gary Collins, not that Gary Collins from Our Magazine, but Bo Collins. He remembers the days the Champ showed up for his workout. He rode up on a Harley, no shirt on, tattoos everywhere, hat on backwards, just not looking like a baseball player in the early 70s, but he still got the tryout. So while playing at SIUE, he was spotted by a guy named George Bradley, who was a scout for the Oakland A's. And the A's owner, Charlie Finley, was not thrilled about signing a guy who had such little experience in organized baseball. But the scout was persistent, so I said, okay, the player is almost 25. Go ahead and sign him if you want, whatever. He had played only 35 games of college baseball, his only organized baseball since the age of 13.
Wow.
So he's a Vietnam veteran. He's 25. He goes to the A's organization. He climbs the ladder pretty good. He actually played for 10 years in the major leagues for 6 different teams. His longest stay with one team was the 3-year run that he had with the Detroit Tigers starting in 1979 when he was traded mid-season from the Cincinnati Reds. And it was late that year that I saw him on the cover of the Sporting News. Why was he on the cover of the Sporting News? This guy who was just an average role player. Because after the trade with Detroit, he batted .313. He had 20 home runs, 51 RBIs, stole 7 bases, and just 246 at-bats. Those of us who played Strat-O-Matic remembered that Strat card. He was great. So this guy who basically played baseball on a whim later in life ended up being the best player on a rebuilding Detroit team for first-year manager Sparky Anderson, and it was just awesome. His final year was 1984 when he hit only 185 for the National League West Division champs San Diego Padres, but he is infamous because those of us who are baseball fans who are alive remember the let me see if I can find the exact date.
Okay.
August 12th, 1984 brawl between the Atlanta Braves and San Diego Padres.
Oh, yes.
And spilled it. Fans were coming on the field.
Throwing water.
Yeah. So at one point, Champ charges towards the Braves dugout. He's looking for Pascual Perez, who had thrown at Alan Wiggins earlier in the game. So he gets to the dugout, and Bob Horner, the slugging third baseman for the Braves, who looked just like Dusty Rhodes, the professional wrestler.
That's right.
He was injured, but he went, when the melee started, he went and he changed into his baseball uniform in case he needed to be out there for the brawl. So Champ meets Bob Horner, and Champ's not going to back down. Horner's not going to back down. Horner's much bigger than him. So Horner locks up with him, and then 2 fans from the stands come out. So all 3 of them tackle him, and then they're trying to run. It was just a terrible melee. But anyway, that's one of the things he is known for. But I did find this interesting that in 1984. His biggest hit was a pinch hit grand slam, April 10th, 1984. They won 7-4 against the St. Louis Cardinals, and he hit the slam off of Bob Forsch.
Oh.
So anyway, he did play in the 1984 World Series with the Padres, struck out and was only at bat. But after an 11-year career, he finished hitting .255, had 54 home runs, 218 RBIs. He died in about 2013 from kidney cancer. and after retiring in Florida. But I wanted to bring up Champ Summers because a local guy for me. I mean, kind of local. He's in the St. Louis area, but when I grew up, 15 minutes from Madison, Illinois, that's pretty cool that this guy grew up there, had such a checkered, weird past as a complete rebel, had so many different experiences, which didn't include baseball, which included combat, Vietnam. Decides one day, I think I'll go for the baseball team at SIU
I
Edwardsville,
don't know.
and became a pretty dang good player with an 11-year career. Those of you who know anything about baseball, you have to play for 10 years to get the pension program. So even though he didn't make a ton of money playing baseball, he made a good living. His retirement was taken care of. So that's pretty cool.
Great spotlight. I did not know half of that. I didn't know he was involved in that big brawl. My memory of that brawl was Ed Whitson without a shirt and his hair's all messed up, and he's looking for somebody, and the fans are throwing water at him and stuff. And,
Yeah.
oh, that was crazy.
I rewatched that on YouTube when I was doing this research just to see the brawl. Yeah, it's
Oh
classic.
my gosh. Yeah.
brawls like that. One they had in Cleveland the other day.
Oh.
Nothing compared to this.
No,
So,
man, them 70 ones and 80s. And two, when he was with the Tigers, they were building to that 84 team, which is one of the best teams I ever seen in my life. So he was a big part of that buildup too, that for the Tigers, who I believe it was the Padres they played that year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
84. Yeah. So he played his old teammates there.
Yep.
Well, my guy is, I've been doing a lot of the older players. I did Sisler and I've done Enos Slaughter and some of those players. Well, my player this time is a guy who, when I was a kid, I just absolutely loved, Kenny Reitz. And Kenny Reitz was a Cardinal. He played for many teams. He played for the Cubs, played for the Pirates and the Giants, but mainly the Cardinals through the years. Had a great nickname back in the years of the AstroTurf. He was known as the Zamboni machine because he played third base, and anything hit up there. A Zamboni machine was basically in hockey, it smooths out the ice, or in baseball, it would, after a rain delay or something, it would take all the moisture out of that AstroTurf. So anything hit in there, he would suck it up, come up, throw it. He was a very good fielder. He was, like I said, he played from 1972 to 1982. He was drafted by the Cardinals in the 31st round. Back then, they had a lot of rounds and 31st draft choices. You never know. Sometimes a first rounder never sees the light of day. And I remember Mike Piazza was the last pick in the last round one year, and he ends up being a Hall of Famer. So you never know. But he was a 31st rounder in the 1969 draft. Spent some time in the minors. He came up with the Cardinals in 72 and played from 72 to 75. He got traded to the Giants. And I remember that day he got traded. It was in December at the winter meetings, and we got a pitcher named Pete Falcone. And my little league friends were like, oh, this is the next Sandy Koufax. I said, oh, we got the next Sandy Koufax? Pete Falcone was okay, but he was no Sandy Koufax. All right, let's just forget it that way. But we get him. Yeah, well, that is true. He was supposed to be the next guy, and he looked good too. He looked good. He was out there. He looked pretty cool. But we ended up trading Lynn McLaughlin back in the next winter meetings, and we got Reitz back from 77 to 80. Goes over to the Cubs for 81, and it finished in 82 with the Pirates, and only played sparingly in 1982 for the Pirates. Now, he was an All-Star in 1980. He was an All-Star and a Gold Glove in 1975, and he had a lot of he played 4 seasons in the minor leagues with the Cardinals from 69 to 72, and he came up in September of 72 against the Montreal Expos. And I just like to say the Montreal Expos. A lot of the younger fans out there don't know, but that is the Washington Nationals. Where they used to be was Montreal. And he came up and had a very good day. He was 2 for 3, and he was a September call-up. But in 73, he took over for third base, and our third baseman moved over to first, and that was Joe Torre. And everybody knows him as manager of the Yankees, and he's up in the, in the offices at St. Louis or in MLB. But Joe was with the Cardinals, had an MVP year in 71, and he moved over to first base, and then Kenny took over at third base. And he led the National League in fielding percentage, 73 and 74, and then he won the Gold Glove in 75. And he actually, Doug Rader, the Astros. I believe he was with the Astros at the time. He might have been a Giant, but anyway, he had won it 5 years in a row. So he broke Raiders' consecutive streak there, where he finally won the Gold Glove. And he led third baseman fielding position in percentage of 77, 78, and 80. And then he set the record for errors by third baseman of 77. He only made 9 errors, which at the time was the record. And that's pretty incredible for a thing. And he played on AstroTurf. Now, AstroTurf, you get a more of a clear bounce, but the ball's much quicker. Everything moves faster on AstroTurf. So I don't know if it's better to play on AstroTurf or not, but the ball gets to you, and on the hot corner, it gets there pretty quick. But anyway, the reason I mentioned, you said Champ Summers, and I said there's a correlation between Kenny Reitz and Champ Summers, and this is the correlation. In 1980, Kenny went nuts. He was the All-Star. He played on the All-Star team that year, and he was the starting third baseman for the National League in 1980 in his only All-Star game. But that year, the Sporting News, which you mentioned before, there was one that came out mid-May, and it said Sizzlers or Fizzlers. And it had a line in the middle. On this side, you had Kenny Reitz, who was hitting over 400 6 weeks into the season, and Champ Summers was on the other side, and he was hitting 400 in 1980 in 6 weeks into the season. And of course, by the end of the year, Reitz is probably hitting about 260. But for the first 6 weeks, he was red hot. And Champ Summers, which is odd, you mentioned him because he was on the front of that too, and that was 1980, and that was probably his best year. And we ended up, now this is in Cardinal lore here, but we ended, because Reitz had such a good year, we packaged him with a bunch of players and we traded him to the Cubbies for Bruce Sutter. And I know it hurts the Cub fans because I think of Bruce Sutter primarily as a Cub. That guy was a terror. It was just good to have him on our team so we didn't have to face him anymore. But he was a great Cardinal too, but he played more years with the Cubbies. But anyway, Kenny Reitz, because of that great year, we were able to maybe pry him over here to Sutter over here to St. Louis.
You had Overfell in the wings too, so
that's true, and that's how baseball is. You always seem to have a young kid. Hey, we're going to turn the reins over to him, or this one, or that one. But Kenny Reitz, I always remember him because even after he was a California kid, but he ended up living. He was born in 1951. He passed away in 2021. He lived in St. Charles, Missouri. He did a lot of promotions for the Cardinals. Usually they have autograph days, and Kenny Reitz would be there a lot. They have a Cardinal caravan when they come back from spring training, and they usually have an old timer on these buses that go back to St. Louis in different directions, and they stop in different cities and say hi to the fans and everything. And Kenny Reitz would always do that. And when I was a kid, I still collect autographs, but I got a few Kenny Reitz cards right here, and they're all autographed. And I would just remember that he had the long hair and the Zamboni machine. Now, Kenny wasn't the fastest guy in the league. I think if he had a foot race with Pujols and Yachty, it'd be Yachty would finish in last, but Reitz and Pujols would be, tied in there. They had a set of 100 cards of the 100 greatest Cardinals, and there's Kenny Reitz right there. McDonald's put those out, and I had him sign that one. And then my friend gave me this one. He signed it for him. But there's the old Zamboni machine right there. I believe that's a 1978 card right there of Kenny. So anyway, I have such great memories of him. And during his last few years, he became a big golfer, and he would go to those celebrity golf tournaments, and you would see his name out there. And so anyway, everybody who ever run into him said he was such a nice, cordial guy, and big part of my childhood there was go Kenny Reitz. So anyway, that's my thing on Kenny.
a couple things I do remember. Pete Rose had a great quote about him that Ken Reitz can play third base with a pair of pliers. And he kind of bridged the 1 year that the Gold Glove is shifted from Rader to Schmidt, and Reitz was kind of like the bridge. And there was always the discussion, is Schmidt really a better third baseman defensively than Reitz, or does his offense kind of push him over to where he's winning these Gold Gloves? They're both excellent defensive third basemen, but Reitz, one of the greatest defensive third basemen the Cardinals have ever seen, and he only won one Gold Glove, but he was between Rader and Schmidt there.
Tough times, yeah.
Another quote I do remember, and I think it was in jest, after he got traded to the Cubs, he's told a reporter next time he sees Whitey Herzog, he's going to punch him out. And I don't think it was serious, but at the time it was like, oh my gosh, he said he's going to punch out Whitey Herzog, but everybody who knew Reitz was like, hey, he's not the punching out type of guy. So, but I do remember that he did make that statement, and he played 1 year for the Cubs, and he was on the downside of his career. And we were a bad team then, and it probably wasn't fun going to the Cubs and replacing Bruce. I'm sure the fans gave it to him a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
So, JJ, what are you opening?
Well, I've got those Allen Ginter cards, which I bought a whole big old box of them. So until next week, we're going to do another Allen Ginter one. And what's weird is you always mention somebody and they show up in our packs. So who knows? I doubt if we get a Kenny Reitz in there. I do not know why. They always have an odd card. And Vince, you'll appreciate this. Oh my gosh, there's 2 odd cards. I don't.
Leslie Nielsen?
You're not far off. It's he was a Marine. He's been in a lot of movies, and it's Rob Riggle. You know Rob Riggle? What the heck? They saw me coming, man. Rob Riggle. Man, I want my money back. Okay. You mentioned this guy today, but here he is with the Tigers, Javi Baez.
There he is.
The magician, right? They called him the magician. Okay. Yes. Oh my gosh, I don't know anything about this guy. Tony Santillan of the Reds. He looks like he means business, but I don't know that guy.
I know he's a right-hander.
Yeah. Oh, we were talking about Vietnam, and this guy, I always think of him, one of the 3 greatest fastballs of all time, first to enlist in the service for World War II. Bob Feller, the miniature card is Bob Feller right there. And then I won't even show you. I don't know who the heck this is. I have no clue. It's a kid. They saw me coming. Blake Grice. Who the heck is this? If somebody knows, let me know. I don't know. They're putting, instead of milk cartons, they're putting kids on baseball cards now. I got ripped off in that set.
I can't believe you're not crying.
Oh,
when the best player you got is Rob Riggle.
I got Rob Riggle. Yeah. Golly, man.
I am opening up the 1990 edition of the Collector's Choice.
All right. I hope yours is much better than mine.
Okay. What have we got here? Talking about that great 1984 Tigers team.
Oh, yeah.
The center fielder, an all-star, Chet Lemon.
Chet Lemon. Love Chet.
Oh. For the Mets, Blaine Beatty. There he is pointing at God, I guess. Because I don't know who the guy is. But there he is. Not only did I get Blaine Beatty,
yes.
I got his clone, Blaine Beatty.
What the heck? Oh.
I have never got this before. 2 of the same cards.
Blaine Beatty mania.
Yeah. Oh, good pitcher for the Giants. Kelly Downs had some pretty good year.
Yes, I remember that guy.
Nice catcher, played for the Phillies, played for the Reds. Bo Diaz, nicknamed the Cannon.
Oh, okay.
Guy, barring injury, could have been a Hall of Famer. Eric the Red, Eric Davis.
Great player. Yeah.
Mark Carrion, pretty good player.
Yeah, I remember him. Yeah, had a nice career.
I got a Phillies sticker there. Like you said, we mentioned them, and there they are. the newest member of the Chicago Cubs Hall of Fame, Sean Dunston.
Love Sean Dunston. Great arm. One of the best arms at shortstop I've ever seen.
We just talked about this man a couple weeks ago. Yeah, he was in the midst of that run of 4 seasons when he won 20 games. Dave Stewart.
Yeah, the death stare.
Oh, yeah. Really good reliever for the Tigers, Guillermo Hernandez.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The heck?
Any Rob Riggle?
No, I got 2 Guillermo Hernandezes.
What the heck? Man.
I finally got a Hall of Famer. Barely a Hall of Famer, but a Hall of Famer nonetheless. I like the guy, but I don't think he should have been a Hall of Famer. Harold Baines.
I know. That's the guy everybody mentions.
Yeah. Catcher for the Pirates, Junior Ortiz.
Remember him? Yeah.
For the Montreal Expos, Tom Foley.
Yes.
And I had this guy a few weeks ago. Pitch for the Twins, pitch for the Mets, pitch for the Expos, Jeff Reardon.
Yes. Jeff Reardon, very good. I don't
So
think a Hall of Famer, but a Hall of very good.
Very good player. You know, I was thinking a couple weeks ago, every pack that I've opened of the old time packs, I have opened a few modern packs, but of the old time packs, I've always got one Hall of Famer. I was thinking, I just got a few cards left. Am I going to get a Hall of Famer? And I got Harold Baines. So I loved Harold Baines, but just not a Hall of Famer. But, you know, when you're good friends with Tony La Russa,
And he was on the group. I know.
Get a few perks. So anyway, well, JJ, I hope you have a good week.
You too. Go Cubs. I want to see them Cubs get in there now.
Well, let me check the score real quick before we get off.
Please do.
Hold on. I am interrupting a text
Oh.
between my wife and Max. So
Oh, okay.
let me get rid of that. Oh, it is 2-2, top of the 6th. Okay.
Very good. And who you playing tonight?
The Metropolitans.
Oh, yes. Take it to. We've got Tampa Bay, and they're hurting right now. McClanahan went on the DL. I think their best pitcher, and you know, and they started out like gangbusters, but now you got Orioles up there. But something happened with Kenny, their announcer too, Kevin Brown. He was critical, and they sort of suspended him. Did you hear anything about that?
I heard something about that, but I don't quite remember the details.
Yeah, I don't know the details either, but I don't know what all's going on. But I think I like an announcer who could. Now, sometimes you got to kind of be soft around the issues, but you point out like, hey, you should have made that play or something like that. I'm all for that.
Bring back the Jimmy Pearsalls.
That's right. That's right.
Well, everybody, I hope you all have a good week. Enjoy next week, and we will see you probably Wednesday night. We taped this on Tuesday, probably Wednesday night. So have a good one. Thank you for joining us.